Oh, hey there again, everybody. So, today we are going to be looking at one of my favorite soups. It is called affectionately by the half-lings, or as the Hobbits, as some of you might know them, as everything stew. It is a great way to clean out your ice box, your bag of colding, whatever you've got. It's just a great way to get rid of leftovers before they go bad. So, once again, one of my favorites. I make it really a lot once we get towards the colder months, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy this. So let's get started.
Alright, today's dish is everything stew. With this list of ingredients, there are a lot of things that you can either leave out or substitute. The biggest thing with this dish is just use what you've already got. And this one is a little bit more involved with the cooking stages and process, so be sure to go through the directions here. Take a screenshot, write them down, whatever you need to do. And now, let's get cooking.
Okay, so this one takes a little bit of prep. We've got a lot of vegetables involved, but if you go ahead and you do all your prep up front, it'll make the process a lot easier once you start going. So the first thing you need to prep is your onion. We've gone over this one a few times now. You want to just cut that bottom off. And what do we do, fam? Toss it. Then down the middle so we have flat surfaces to work with. Bottoms, toss. And toss. Now, take off that skin. Take off that skin for the little beasties out there. And now we just want to get a nice little dice on these. We're not really chopping them fine or anything, just a decent small dice. Okay. Get a nice little dice on this side, and we want one whole yellow onion because we want a little bit of that sweetness from it. Okay. And if you've got a little bit at the end, toss it out. Okay, score it. Now we can put that off to the side and keep prepping the rest. Okay, the nice thing about this is that if you don't want to prep up front, you can honestly prep as you go. I just like doing most of it, but for the onion, we actually want to go ahead and let that kind of sweat for a little bit before we get into everything else. So we're gonna take the lid off of that, throw our 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter into the bottom. Let that start melting down. Oh yeah. You know it's good when you hear that sizzle. So we've got that. Go ahead and put our onion in there. Oh yeah. Good. And our bay leaves. These will add a nice little herbiness to the whole concoction. So we just want to kind of get those little translucent and just kind of cooking down into that butter, start releasing their own juices. Face full of smoke. And then on top of that, we want to add our thyme. Now you can either use dried or fresh. I decided to go with dried because it's easier to keep while I'm on the move. So throw that in there. We just keep stirring that for a little bit. Let it sweat down. And while that continues, we can go ahead and keep prepping the rest of our vegetables. All right, so while we have our onions, the bay leaves, and the thyme simmering down, we can go ahead and prep the rest of our vegetables. We've got a red bell pepper. We want to get this into about 3/4 of an inch chunks. So the way I like to do it is I'll cut the top and bottom off, and then that makes it easy to get the inside where you can get rid of that pith and all the seeds. Simply slide your knife along the edges, and then you can pop that out. And now you can cut down the middle, cut it in half, and then that makes it a lot easier to get those chunks at a uniform size. And then you can also still use the bottom and top. You just kind of come through, quarter them. So for the top, it's got all of that, and you just kind of do the same thing as you did for the actual pepper itself. I do it from the underside so that way you can kind of get a better view of it. You just kind of poke it through, run it along. Whoop. And then that gets you the stem. And cut that up. All right. And then that is our red bell pepper. Okay, now that we've got our bell pepper done, one that I really want to help you guys out with is the leek. So this, at first, honestly, is kind of scary to deal with. The nice thing is, a lot of this is waste. We don't want all these big fronds and all that kind of stuff. So you just come up here, right below them, and you just cut through and toss that out. And then cut the bottom off. And then this is what you're left with. So what you're going to do once you get it here, depending on how you're going to use it. Today we're going to halve them and then slice them down. So you just go ahead like that, right down the middle, put them flat side down, and you just come through in your little half moons. So these grow typically in very sandy kind of soil. So you very much have to wash these whenever you prep them. The easiest way that I have personally found with this is either with a colander or a bowl of water. So once you get them all cut down, right about there, you take them all, and then you simply just drop them in a bowl of water, kind of toss them around a bit, Whatever falls to the bottom, you don't want, they're no good. And you just kind of sit and wait, jiggle them around a little bit. Make sure all that sand and dirt gets out from between them. Once you kind of see things settle, you can go ahead and scoop them back out. Make sure to kind of drain them a little bit. Make sure you're not disrupting all the dirt and sand on the bottom and getting it back into the leek. And there you have your prepared leeks.
To prepare your carrots, simply peel them and then cut the tops and bottoms off of them, and then cut them diagonally into 3/4 of an inch pieces. For your potatoes, simply leave the skins on and then cut them into cubes about 3/4 of an inch thick. And for the green beans, simply cut the ends off and then slice them into 1-inch pieces. Once you're done, they're all ready for the stew.
All right. And once those vegetables are nice and they've softened up a little bit, next we get to add our chicken broth and potatoes. We'll bring that up to a simmer and then bring the heat down a little bit and let it just simmer for another 8 to 10 minutes until your potatoes get just shy of soft, because we still have a good bit to cook. All right, now that we've let those potatoes get nice and soft, we can now add our green beans. Now, personally, I love fresh green beans because I love the snap of them. Pre-cooked, they can work in this, but I don't feel like you get the same flavor profile or the texture with this. So, we're gonna throw those in. We're gonna bring the soup back up to a simmer and then let it simmer for probably about three to 5 minutes. And then we get to add the last of our things, and then we get to eat. All right, like I said before, one of the nice things about this recipe is that it's a great way to clean out your ice chest or your bag of colding. Personally, for me, I had a chicken. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off one of the breasts, cube it up, and then we'll throw it in with our leeks and our corn, and we'll let it simmer for another 8 to 10 minutes, and it'll be ready to eat. All right, now that we've let this simmer and let that chicken and the corn and all that get nice and warm, it is ready for tasting. Now, before you serve it, you want to discard the bay leaves because you don't want to eat those, trust me. And there's also an option where you can make a rosemary garlic butter to top this as you serve it. I think it's great without it. So let's go ahead, take a quick little taste. If you like vegetables, this is the stew for you. Those halflings know what they're doing. It's very hearty. It just warms you to the bone, and it just makes you want to cuddle up next to a fire. So this usually serves about 6, and I hope that you'll give it a try soon, and we'll see you next time.